Hi everyone and welcome back. If you want to learn more about FSGS, TSC, STEM programs or engineering field, as well as fashion, you're in the right place. So today I'm going to actually go into a little bit more about FSGS, what it is, and pretty much how it's impacted both of my girls. Now I do have some notes here. I want to make sure I'm going to try to pronounce this as best as I can because it's a very long word. So FSGS is actually focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, or FSGS, which is a disease in which scar tissue develops on the glomeruli. Rulae. Again, I apologize if I'm saying that incorrect. I'm not a doctor, not a nurse, do not have a background in the medical field, so I am just going based off the notes that I have. So what this does, or what is FSGS, it actually causes the small parts of the kidneys that filter waste from the blood. So it pretty much impacts your ability to filter waste from the blood. So both my daughters had a 50-50 chance of getting it. They carry it both from one parent. So what ended up happening is obviously my oldest daughter, developed into the point where she ended up losing her kidney, both kidneys actually. So in 2008, when she was about 12 years old, I found out that obviously that she had kidney disease. During that whole process, if you heard me on my last video, or if you listened to my last story, ended up finding out pretty much all that my girls both were sick, and we ended up having to kind of rush into action and find the right doctors, obviously get them to a point where they would be okay, and we know that they're being treated properly. By 2012, my oldest, her kidneys, she was doing okay, and then she ended up getting some kind of an infection. We later found out that it was actually meningitis. Don't ask me how she got it. We don't know. We've done so much research, and we're guessing that during one of her either hospital visits, or if she was out with a friend in the park, whatever it was, she ended up catching it somewhere, and nobody could give us a straight answer. So prior to us finding out, obviously, that she ended up getting sick, we actually started to notice, or she actually came over to me and said, "Mom, can you feel these lumps in my arms?" I ended up checking. She had lumps in her arms, lumps in her legs, and it terrified me because I was like, okay, are these blood clots? So when I would press them, she said, "They don't hurt me." I said, "Let's go." So I took her into ER. They did a series of tests. We ended up finding out that she had meningitis. They put her on medication. She started to feel better, but then as they started to kind of adjust her medications left and right and just kind of give her the right dosage, she ended up getting really sick, and she ended up getting like fluid, like almost like water filled. They were like, it's hard for me to explain because they almost look like when you get like a when you're wearing, let's say you're wearing tight shoes for a long time and you get that water bubble in the back of your leg or the back of your foot. She had a huge one on both of her calves. So they had to do, it's pretty much when we found out that's really when we found out she had a meningitis infection, because they actually biopsied it, and they confirmed that she did have meningitis. They rushed her in, did a spinal tap. Thank God her spinal tap was negative. So what we ended up doing, we ended up pretty much staying in the hospital for about 3 months, excuse me, not years, but 3 months. During that time, they were doing a series of testing. She ended up having to do plasmapheresis just to try to save her kidney. They ended up trying to adjust her medications left and right. Some of the medication that they put her on, it didn't work well for her, so she ended up getting lumps back in her arms and legs. So again, rushed back to the hospital. Then they determined that it was time to take her kidney out because it was doing more harm to her than any good. So but mind you, during that whole time frame, it was really difficult because when she would have an attack, or that infection would come back, there was at one point that I had to carry her to her car, to our car, because she was in so much excruciating pain. That's kind of when they were trying to do the treatments with plasmapheresis. It helped a little bit, but they just couldn't save the kidney no matter what we tried. And God, we tried. No matter what we tried, but it was just impossible to get it to just relax, right? So during that time, when unfortunately when she lost her kidney, that's when our most difficult journey started. We ended up having to get her on dialysis at the pediatric nephrology office in over here in the South. When we went in, when I tell you as a parent how difficult it was to see all these kids having to have dialysis, even babies, you know, it was kids ranging in all ages, and just sitting there, it was probably the not only the most difficult, but I wish I could explain it. I think at that very moment, I wanted to be able to save everybody there. I wanted to be able to give all those little kids and those teens and those young kids the just life, I guess, to be able to make the stupid mistakes that we did as teenagers, you know, get to have fun, go out with our friends, go to the movies, just live a normal life. It was difficult for me to comprehend that my daughter was there. You know, it was difficult for me to comprehend that those kids were there. You know, they're so young. Like, it isn't fair. It really isn't. I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, it's not right. I sit there and I would literally get nauseous from the smell of the blood being cleaned. And I hated myself for that, because I wanted to be there for my daughter, knowing that she was going through this difficult time in her life. And all she would do is just worry about me. She'd be like, "Mom, are you okay? Are you all right? Don't worry about it. You know, I'm okay." And I just couldn't fathom it. I couldn't accept it. I think that was a better way to put it. I just couldn't accept it. It took me a really long time to accept that my daughter was on dialysis. At 16. Just imagine what you were doing at 16. There was a point in my life where, actually there was one time, and I have to kind of give this story in because I tend to forget about those dark days, or I try to. I can't forget, obviously, but I try to. But there was one incident, I'll never forget this. I walked into the dialysis unit, and it wasn't that long into my daughter's treatment at this point. It was probably like the third week. One of the young ladies there, she's very young. She had to be like my daughter's age, maybe a year younger or older. She stands up and she hugs me. And she tells me, "Everything's gonna be okay, Mama." She didn't know me for anything. She just knew that I was scared. Sorry. It still touches me because she's the one that was going through dialysis. I was just there, helpless, unable to help. And I think about all those parents that, you know. Anyway, sorry. It's just really hard. 7.5 years of dialysis. I can't believe my daughter has a kidney, you know. Some of these kids still don't. So think about that, you know. 7.5 years of having this huge needle being poked into your arm that can no longer take it, when you have lumps building up on your arms, where you're constantly throughout those times, and which just isn't dialysis, is also the constant surgeries of having to fix your fistula, if it doesn't work anymore, having to just reconstruct it, making sure that your blood pressure is suitable for dialysis. So that means you're on a bunch of ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, trying to just get you to the right point. A series of medications. And when I say a series, I mean a series. She's still on a bunch of medications, but nowhere near it. Like I said, it's been a long several years. Many decisions that I do regret, obviously, but there are decisions that I'm glad I made. Finding her the right doctor was crucial. And never giving up. I could see it in my daughter's eyes, probably about the 6th year, 5 to 6 year of her dialysis treatment. You ever seen that light leave your daughter's eyes or your child's eyes when you thought that they were going to give up on you? My daughter went through years of denials, probably one per year, starting at the 2nd year mark. So we had about 3 to 4 years of denials. Then I told her, this is what we're gonna do. I said, we're gonna go around every freaking stinking damn hospital in Florida, and you're gonna get your kidney. So we went to Miami, we went to Gainesville, we went to Tampa. She got denied in Tampa. She got denied in Miami. But she got approved in Gainesville. And when I tell you that was our happiest day ever, besides being called, that was definitely our happiest moment ever. So about, had to have been like 4 months. She walks over to me. She was probably like, what the heck, Mom, what's wrong with you? She walks over to me when she got the call and she goes, Mom, I have a kidney. And I totally, I don't know, I didn't comprehend it. I didn't understand what she was talking about, if that makes any sense, right? I don't know. It was just kind of like, I was so used to hearing no's that I think that the shock factor just set in. She's like, Mom, did you hear me? We have to go. I said, you're kidding, right? She's like, no. I was like, holy crap, let's go. So I went into the didn't understand concept, right? And I rushed out. I was like looking for my stuff, rushing here and there, going, mind you, this is like late at night. I'm rushing through, making hotel arrangements, and it was insane. It was probably the most insane time of my life. I was like super excited, but super nervous. Like everything in my head running shot through my head, right? Is this gonna work? Is it gonna be an issue? Are we gonna get there? Is she gonna be okay? Is the surgery gonna be successful? So we ended up getting to the hospital. We literally were on the elevator with our organ. We were in the elevator with her organ. You know, and then it hit me when I was in the elevator that somebody's loved one that passed away. In order to give my daughter a better life. Pretty much. Someone lost a loved one so that my daughter can have a better life. That's how I saw it. So to this day, I just think about that loved one, and I can't be any more grateful. Because I know somewhere someone lost that person. And in essence, my daughter got another chance at life. I think we tend to forget that stuff, but I don't ever forget it. Because I know how hard it would be for me if I lost my loved one. But how happy it would make me feel if it gave, at least that tragedy gave somebody an ability to have a better life. Sorry, I've been like just, I tend to shut that stuff off in my mind because I know how dark some of those days were for me. So I try to just stay positive and keep a positive outlook in life, and I think about how it's still hard today, right? My daughter right now, she has nerve damage in her left arm. She just got another surgery done not too long ago, but she's doing so much better as far as obviously functioning on a day-to-day basis, where she couldn't take 2 steps without having a hard time breathing. Now she's able to do little jobs here. She's, she'll do her job. She's, able to get from A to B without any issues. Obviously, she's now recovering from the nerve damage, and from her latest surgery. But she's doing better, a lot better. She's actually able to travel. She's able to do things, without worrying about where she has to go for dialysis. Because when you're on dialysis, it's not just about getting your treatment. She was doing it 3 times a week, for 3-hour sessions. So just think about how difficult it is to manage that with having, school, wanting to travel to do stuff, wanting to even work. It's cumbersome. It's just difficult to manage. It's not something that you can do without having to make thousands of arrangements prior to that. So yeah, that was our dialysis journey. And I'll hit on different medical emergencies that we had throughout those years. Again, my time here, this is the whole point of obviously my channel, is to get my message out there, let you guys know you're not alone. You're not. I've had countless medical emergencies, countless attempts at finding the right medications for my girls, to make sure that they're in the right place, right? Countless battles with doctors, countless battles with pharmacies and insurances, and I'll definitely have a whole bunch of information for you guys on that, and I'll just keep getting it out to you guys so you understand just how difficult of a time we've had, and how we got out of a lot of these situations and scenarios. And again, thank you so much for listening in on my journey, how our lives were impacted with different medical emergencies, and just how we made our way out of it, right? Because that's what it's all about. Focusing on the issue on hand and emerging out of it a better person and more knowledgeable. That's why it's so important, like when I tell you guys to just continue to focus through and evolve. You have to evolve from each scenario and situation, because if you don't learn from it, you're never going to be able to change it. Again, thank you so much for joining. Please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to follow me. Hit a thumbs up. Share in the comments. Let me know what you feel, what you like to know a little bit more. And again, thank you so much.